Hey everyone, Kid with the Antique Book Collective, and today I've got another BOLO video for you guys. In fact, I'm holding these upside down right now. That's how excited I am about this little BOLO. So guys, I wanted to actually record this video a little bit later on these BOLO books, but as it turns out, they already sold. So these books, guys, they weren't even listed for 12 hours before they finally decided to get themselves sold. I did accept an offer on these books. I do want to preface with that. I could have sat on them a little bit longer, but I just wanted to get them gone a little bit sooner just because I like getting some sales velocity. With all that said and done though, guys, let me just tell you a little bit about this set. So you guys know how I like bragging about these books. So these books, guys, right here are the Shakespeare Complete Works. These are from 1896, which means they are quite old. I actually talked about these on the Facebook community tab before coming on to the YouTubes to do all the recording. In fact, I posted about these on Facebook last night before I started, well, before these sold, and obviously before this video as well. With that said though, guys, it's a very... It's sort of a plain set. I mean, it's just cloth bound. There's nothing too exciting about it. It does have some gilding for the text, but it's not the most amazing Shakespeare set that I've ever had. With that said, though, it's not nothing. It's definitely a cool set. So that's the title page right there. If you guys wanted to pause, you could pause right there. But at the bottom it says 1896. That is the print year on these books. So this came from J. Payne Collier, FSA, as the dude who annotated the book, and the actual publisher was Keystone Publishing Company, which I want to say I think I might have sold some books from Keystone Publishing before. I don't know. Back in the day, guys, there were so many publishers, but like every other industry, you start out with like a million different players and then just sort of gets ebbed down as there's buyouts, companies go out of business until there's just a few left. So way back in the 1800s, there were more publishers than you could shake a stick at. Nowadays, you could probably count them on one hand. Obviously, you could do more than one hand, but you guys know what I mean. With that said, though, this is a nice little set of Shakespeare books. You have all the different Shakespeare plays, and the dude who did the annotation, the Collier dude, he probably just put his annotations in there to make it sound like it's a little something special. It's not just another compilation of all Shakespeare's works, because, guys, I know that we are always getting new Shakespeare's complete works, like things getting published all the time, but stinking in the 1800s, especially the late 1800s, I found, they were doing these out of the wazoo. People that were doing homeschooling for their kids, it wasn't really called homeschooling back then, but 1800s, we're on the Wild West. Yeah, we all know of Little House on the Prairie, where they had the little schoolhouse, but by and large, a lot of people would actually teach their kids at home, and a lot of these kids would actually get raised on the King James Bible and Shakespeare's works. That's something that was actually quite common in a lot of households. As such, a lot of these Shakespeare books are not always worth a ton. It's because there were just so many Shakespeare books out there. I mean, nowadays, they're not the most rare, even the antique ones, because, again, there were so many out there because everyone was teaching their kids how to read on them, and they're just enjoyable little stories. Admittedly, in high school, I had to get forced to read all the Shakespeare stuff, and I was like, yeah, I don't hate this, but the fact you're forcing me to do this doesn't make me want to do it, pal. I mean, come on. But it's something that you definitely learn to enjoy a little bit more as you learn more about it, as you just sort of read. For me, I didn't hate it too much in the very beginning, but hey, if you force me to do something and you're the government, I'm going to dislike it no matter what. With that said, though, guys, some figures about these books. So there was someone else selling these books for $80, and that included free shipping. For me, I actually listed these books for $80 plus shipping, and I actually do that sometimes in this business. I know I've mentioned elsewhere that I don't really go for the lowest price out there anymore. I like to do a little bit more just so I can provide a better experience and a better quality items, that sort of stuff. So I actually was charging my buyer, potentially if they paid the full price, an additional $16-ish for shipping. End of the day, though, I actually had a buyer come in, give me an offer. So again, I was asking $80 plus shipping. They offered me $40 plus shipping. I said, hey, $40's too low. Can we do $55? I wanted to say, can we do $50? But I was like, no, this guy's going to counter offer right quick. He's going to say something just slightly lower than what I say. So I actually said, can I do $55? He came back with $50. I was like, that's the number I wanted. Obviously, I didn't tell him that, but that was what I ended up selling it for. So it sold for $50 plus shipping. All told, that's 50 plus 16-ish. So the buyer still ended up getting a good deal, less than what the dude who's asking $80 overall for. But end of the day, I got the sale. I'm fine with that. I don't know what the other guy did with his $80 free shipping one, but that's not my issue. My issue is now I have to pack these, wrap these, get them out, and enjoy having them gone and having some money in my pocket. So beyond that, some more numbers for you guys. So these books right here, let me just hold up the entire set for you again. So this right here is 8 different books. These 8 books contain all of Shakespeare's works, or at least all the ones we know of. There might be secret ones. Gasp. That'd be cool if you could actually find some secret ones. That'd be like the crown jewel of any booksellers if you found like a secret Shakespeare play. Don't know if they actually exist, but if they do, I want to find it. But with that said, I actually paid $8 for this set. So my asking price, remember I said I was asking $80 for these books, it would have been $10 a book. The guy ended up buying it for $50. Okay, that's not $10 a book, but it's still a pretty good return on investment. It's almost 5 times on my money. Take away eBay fees, it's probably more like 4 times on my money, something like that. So it's not the best play I've ever done. It's definitely not the worst, though. And yes, I did say play. That was not a pun, but you could take it as a pun as you want, because, get it? Shakespeare's plays. Ha, ha, ha. Sorry, I don't want the drama. Oh, another pun. Okay, I'll stop. But with that said, though, guys, this was a very it's a very neat set as well. I have had so many books that are from the late 1800s, and by the late 1800s, let me just specify a little bit more. I'm saying like books from like 1895 to like 1899, even like the latest bit of the 1800s. I've had so many of them that you get them and you look at them and you're like, there is no way this book is over 100 and almost 50 years old. Obviously, it's not close to 150 just yet. We're getting there, but let's just say 130 years. Whoop-de-doo. About 130 years old. Close. But with that said, I mean, you look at this, you do not think that off the top of your head because it does not look worn enough. You think about a book that's that old, you're going to think something that's in absolute tatters. However, let me tell you something sad. Not every single book in this set is in great condition. This one right here, it looks like something got dropped on it right here at some point. So you actually got a tear along the spine right there on the hinge. And then you also got some damage here on the cover from where it got folded down and it ripped the paper on the inside. So this set is not perfect. I will admit that. I'm sad to see that because, as I was saying, these books are so beautiful. You never see them this beautiful. And even with that damage, they're still quite beautiful for a set that's this old. And with that said, though, back to what I was saying earlier about how I find so many of these from like the very latest bit of the 1800s. I know people say, oh, they don't make them like they used to, but like, whatever they were doing with books, making them back then, they don't make them like they used to, guys. I find books that are just a couple years older than that are totally torn to shreds, and it's not necessarily that it got read more, although I'm sure that could be the case, but it's like something about these books from the 1800s, the latest bit of it, are just, they're made like tanks, guys. I have a Charles Dickens set. I've mentioned it many times before. I've shown you guys it in other videos. Stinking that set, it's been read quite a few times. That looks close to brand new too. I mean, I'd say it's from the 1960s or 80s at the latest. Sorry, at the earliest. I don't know, whatever you want to say. Like, that's how old it could be, tops. And then it's actually like the 1800s, and it's just like, what in the pigeon feather? Like, it is insane, guys. I do not know what they did, but it is something that I recommend you guys look out for. And if you guys know my channel, if you've been following my channel long enough, you know that the last bit of the 1800s is actually my best sort of time frame for me to actually buy books and sell books in. Like, for some reason, that is my best selling era of books. I don't understand why, but that's just sort of how it works. And I know I just said best selling era of books. It's not necessarily my best selling because I do have some books that sell more often, but it's my best selling as far as profit goes. It's where I make most of my money. With that said, though, guys, let's see if I have anything left. I have the listing right here on my phone. Yeah, so it's buyer paid. Once everything came into me, it's $64.57. I think that's before eBay fees. I don't really need to dig into the money too much with you guys. You guys, if you do eBay, you understand. If you don't do eBay, I do have other videos where I sort of talk about eBay fees. eBay fees are, I want to say it's just shy of 15% for me because I pay to use eBay. It's just shy of 15% fee right off the top, including shipping they take. And then, of course, there's a advertising fee. This particular set, I want to say, forgive me as I'm looking off in thought, I want to say I was charging, paying a little bit more for advertising for these just so they could get out, because on to the next part. So as I mentioned in the very beginning of this video, guys, I actually shared these books in my Facebook group, in my Facebook page that I have for this channel. Link below if you guys wanted to go to that. I believe it's still down there. But I know I just mentioned it, and I actually shared some stuff there that I really want to share with you guys. In fact, in that particular post, I actually said I wanted to make a YouTube video about these. So the reason why I paid more for advertising in these, with these books is actually because Shakespeare books, so I know I said they are so common, and they really are, even the antique ones, but for some reason, people really love getting the ones from the 1800s. As such, people are always shopping around for them. And these people, I don't know exactly what clientele it is all the time, but usually it's people that enjoy literature. It's not just someone who only enjoys Shakespeare. It's someone who's going to enjoy a lot of other books. And if they're looking for the antique ones, odds are they're going to enjoy a lot of antique books. As such, I like to pay a little bit more for these books for advertising. I like to ask a little bit more for these books. So remember, I said that the other guy was asking for 80. I was asking 80 plus shipping. He was doing free shipping. The reason why I did that was I was trying to scare off potentially some people from giving me $5 offers, because I wanted these books to be listed on my site a little bit longer, because guys, I cannot keep Shakespeare books stocked. That's the reason why I'm doing a BOLO video. You got to get some Shakespeare books, because again, there's so many of them, but so many people look for these things. And because so many people look for them, and because these people usually like antique books in general, I find that these people will see my books. They might not like that particular Shakespeare set that I have, but they will go onto my eBay page. Of course, I can't actually validate that they actually did this. I don't have the tracking for that, but I do see a pickup in all of my sales overall on my entire page after I list a Shakespeare set, and I believe that is because it's the Shakespeare fans going out and seeing, oh, what else does this guy have? He's asking too much for his Shakespeare set, or he doesn't have the set I want, or this or this or this. I actually had someone ask how big the books were, and it was turned out they were just looking for the font size, and they're like, oh, it's too small a font. And I was like, bro, you could have just asked if it was small text. Come on. But that is something to keep in mind, is it can definitely cause an increase in your overall sales. Of course, I do have a tiny bit of evidence for this. I believe I've had 1 or 2 sets of Shakespeare books that the person has actually bought a few other completely unrelated books in the same purchase, so I do have a little bit of evidence for it, but not a whole lot. With that said, though, I actually do have a Shakespeare set over there. I actually showed you guys some of that set in another video. I'm not going to grab it right now because it's absolutely in tatters, and it needs some love, and I don't know how to give it the love it needs, because these books are, they're in tatters. It's scary to touch them, how bad they are. But there are some things about Shakespeare that just really drive traffic for you. They command a good price, even though they're so common. I mean, you're not going to get rich with them. You're not going to necessarily find a whole bunch of Shakespeare sets that, let's say you have these 8 books, you're not going to find a whole lot of these 8-book sets that are selling for 20 grand, but there are a lot of them that are selling for a few $100s. This set right here, it's just cloth, so it's not worth the most. The leather-bound ones are usually worth a little bit more, I find. Not always the case. They have ones that have fine binding and a boatload of gilding, and they're beautiful as everything. Usually those are worth a little bit more. Of course, it varies on the publisher, the year it came out, all that sort of stuff, but it's just something you guys should really keep an eye out for. And even if this particular Shakespeare set isn't what you find, even if you don't find one that's really expensive, it could still be worth listing them, especially if they are older ones, because it could drive more traffic to your overall eBay store. So with that said and done, though, guys, I hope this video was helpful. I hope you guys can find some awesome Shakespeare books of your own. I hope you guys can have them lift your overall sales and also just sell on their own. I know I mentioned that I like holding on to these for a little bit longer because they do drive traffic, but hey, getting a few dollars in my pocket, it's hard to say no to that sometimes, especially when you're feeling a little bit hungry for sales. For me, I actually had a delivery I had to make, and this guy sent in his offer, and I was just like, I could wait a couple of minutes to do the delivery and potentially get another sale, or I could do the delivery now and have to deal with this later. And I was just like, let's make a little bit more money today. I'm fine with that. So with that said and done, though, guys, I hope this was helpful. If it was, please be sure to drop a like. It does help the channel. Please drop a comment also on the coolest Shakespeare set you've found. I mean, there are some amazing sets out there, and I am always shocked with what you guys, my audience, find. I'm a little bit jealous as well. Some of you guys also get the most amazing places to buy books from, and it I'm pouting in my little corner sometimes. I'm just like, I want some cool books too. With that said, though, guys, again, please be sure to drop a like. If you guys like this sort of stuff, be sure to hit the subscribe too. It's right there or down there. And be sure to check out one of my other videos that can really help the channel as well. And I'll see you guys in the next one.